Good day, everybody. It's Greg Schnell, and I am here with the weekly market review for November 2nd, 2019. Lots of good things happened this week in the market, and one of them was that the industrials broke out along with financials, technology. So leadership industries are breaking out, and I think that's a pretty important clue. The media chatter often focuses towards the technology side of it, but there's some great industrial companies out there. And if you're not familiar with the names, it's hard to know who they are. So I thought what I'd do today is take a quick run through how to set up a list of industrials and then limit it any way you want. And once we have that, then we can work with the data. So to find my blogs, I think all of you know, StockCharts.com, the articles tab, you can go to the drop-down menu on the right. And there's three different places I write: the Canadian Technician, Don't Ignore This Chart, and Chart Watchers. And please hit subscribe at the bottom. And you can also find more work at gregschnell.com. My contact information, info@gregschnell.com, Twitter on Schnell Investor, and you can always reach me on my website at gregschnell.com. The agenda, so worldwide breakouts everywhere, that's a really bullish thing. But we're going to go into industrials, and we're going to start with the strength there. And we're going to create a list, sort a list, saving the sort order, analyzing the list, sell signals, buy signals. And if you're looking for a complete market review, not just of one sector or whatever, you can always go over to gregschnell.com and try a subscription to that if you're interested. So let me just jump over into Safari here. Okay, so let's just say you're new to industrials, you don't have any. This is going to be really simple, but we're going to go down here and hit New. And we're going to create a scan, and in this scan now we're going to go and we're going to add some components. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here. These are alphabetical based on the headers in here. So cyclical, energy, financial, healthcare, and here's industrial. Now industrial's got a whole bunch of different areas, as you can see, 10 or 15. And we're going to go get those industrials, and then that puts it up in here. Whoops, I didn't say add. So let's add. And now what we should see is industrial sectors here. So we can run this scan, and if we did that, we're going to get some data. And what this says is we've got 489 stocks. But what we'll also find is we got penny stocks in there, really small stuff. And maybe that's your shtick. Maybe you want small stocks. Personally, I like to use the larger ones. So I'm going to go down here and whatever. You can choose a price, any price you want, but let's just say that we want the close and we want it greater than $5. And if we wanted it greater than $5, that's perfect. Or if we wanted it less than $10, we would just do the exact opposite, and we would go in here and just create less than $10. And again, in this case, I'm going to do greater than $5 and just run the scan. And now that's going to drop about 100 listings out of the group. So anyways, 400 is still plenty, but let's go and work with the data. First of all, let's find out what's strong today. When we do that, we hit the SCTR button, and it's going to bring up all of these companies. And you know, many of them could be companies we've never heard of, right? I don't think I know about Forterra, and small cap company. The closing price is $8.40, and if we go look at we have to put it in a chart list. If I hover here and I don't see a chart pop up, it means it's not in a chart list. So I have to create a new chart list. So in this case, and I try to put all my industrial groups, my different industry groups together. So in this case, I'm going to call it I for industrials, and then I'm going to save the sort order, because I've got it sorted by scooter ranking, and now that's going to put them in, and it's going to give them a number. Now this number is kind of mixed up now at the front, and the reason is because it's sorting over here just for display on the intraday performance, and we want to sort it on scooters. So if we click that, now it'll resort to that. If we want to look at all the stocks based on 1 week, we would just click on that button, and it's going to start to show, the different levels of performance. So based on that week. So anyway, we were going to go look at Forterra, and what we see, this is just jogging higher, nicely little uptrend here. It was underperforming. Scooter ranking turned up and then started to rally, and now it's been taking off to the upside. Pretty nice looking chart. Again, at this point, we've got nothing. We've just got a few stocks in a list, and we need to know what we want to do with them. So I personally like a weekly look because I don't really want to just get in this week and out next week. So I want to go and change the charts in this list to be weekly. And the way to do that is to click on weekly. So I have a pre-defined weekly chart that I've got set up. You're more than welcome to click on your style and save it. And then what you need to do is go down to the bottom here, apply the style to all. And once we apply the style, we're going to go in and take a look. And with that, now we can go view all in these charts. And again, what we want to look for, there's 10 charts per page, and we've got like 400 going on here. So that's a pretty big list, 395 or something. So what we want to do is just go through and look, is there any charts that we'd like to buy today? Now this chart's been running quite nicely. It just 2 weeks ago broke out of this little base here, and it's about to hit new all-time highs when it gets through this 1917. So that's pretty nice. This B. Riley Financial, that's interesting. It's in business support services, but under industrial. Anyway, breaking through $22 and had a big week this week, probably on earnings, and it looks pretty nice. This Forterra, it's been in a downtrend for 2 years after IPOing, but it's starting to get, moving on up here when you look at it in the big picture. And this could just continue to work its way higher. There's a downtrend in here that got broken, so we like that. And it's continuing to work up. Installed building products, another nice week. Trying to get to new all-time highs. Got to get through $80 to do that. Colfax, this one's just breaking out of a base. That's a pretty nice looking chart. The SCTR ranking has just surged up. It's over 90. So this is looking really nice, breaking this 2-year downtrend. We're starting to see the PPO momentum turn up and widen out. So the distance between the signal line and the PPO line is widening, and usually that suggests that there's lots of momentum. And so the RDOG group here, this one's breaking out to new 3-month highs. But again, I'm not sure I'd wait for this whole candle to get broken. But if it wasn't for intra-week, if we used a line chart, this is a new 52-week high, looking pretty good. And again, another IPO 3 years ago, literally near the top of the market. Universal Forest Products, all the forest companies have been breaking out lately, and this one is no exception. Nice move. Costamare, this one looks really good here, breaking out to new 52-week highs last week, and this week breaking out to new 3-year highs. So what's not to like about that? They're in marine transportation, so that's a good looking chart. Here's Builders First Source, and it's starting to turn up, making a very, very nice move to higher ground here. Generac Holdings, I think every time there's an emergency somewhere, people start to order generators. And I heard that there was an airport that was saying they had too many power outages, and it was causing problems with the airport terminal system. So they had lots of flight delays. So they were going to start generating their own power. You just see this worldwide move as the utilities get closer and finer to operating on the thin edge with no redundancy, and all of a sudden the system breaks out. So this Generac chart broke out in May, June, July, and now all of a sudden it's just up and away. So nice chart, lots of volume still hitting it. Okay, looking through here, Arconic, this is a division of Alcoa that broke out, and this chart's just breaking out to new highs here, so that's nice. Here's Aircastle, wow, that was a surge, broke out to new 5-year highs. And GMS, this one's been consolidating here for 2 months, and it wouldn't take much to get a nice little breakout there. Okay, so all of these, we're looking at stocks that are up near their highs and just starting to break out. Nothing wrong with that. That's one way to look at the charts. The other thing, so I like this one. This IPO was trending down, is now starting to trend up. PPO in positive territory. Scooter ranking up around 90, and the full stochastics are taking off. And it's broken this downtrend in relative strength. That chart just looks healthy and looks like it wants to start going. And I think this is the security company, if I'm not mistaken. Allegiant Public, this one's just trying to break out here. Looks pretty nice. Old Dominion Freight Lines. Nice to see trucking company doing well, taking off to the upside, so this is good. Compress NV, no idea what they do. New 52-week highs, pretty nice. Gibraltar Steel, one of the things that I've been talking about in my subscription service is the move into commodities, and it's been going on for 3 or 4 weeks now, so hopefully you've been on board with that. One of the things we're starting to see is this breakout here above 50 bucks. This is a very nice chart, new 2-year highs and just starting to head up, so really like that shape. Okay, so as we work through this charts, you get the idea, and I think there's, this chart just broke out to new 52-week highs. We keep going. We can analyze a whole bunch of different things, but I think the more important thing, rather than go through each one of these, this one, look at the scooter ranking tucked up nice and high here, and it looks like it wants to run. I think the market's just getting going here, so you want to be looking more towards gains. This one's breaking out to new 3-year highs. It just looks really, really nice. Road Construction Partners, this one's headed higher. World Fuel Services, all of these look good. Here's a really interesting one. So Stericycle, Industrial Waste and Disposal, big downtrend. And this week, let's just go click on the chart. This week has something different going on. And what is it? It's finally breaking a 5-year downtrend. So does that make it a great stock? Well, not exactly. I wouldn't mind seeing it get to new 52-week highs, which would be just above $58. What did we close at? 58.64. So it did close at a new 52-week high. Nothing wrong with that chart. I like the fact that it's breaking out. PPO momentum is moving up higher. The stock was as low as $35, so it was up at 150 before. So it looks like they're trying to get this thing turned around. And new 52-week highs. We haven't seen that for 5 years on the chart, so this is a pretty nice place to look. Okay, so, but the point I want to get to here is the scooter ranking is one method, and so we had a kick up, a pullback, and now it's just moving back into high ground again. This is an excellent type of chart for me. Here's TK Marine Transportation. This one's starting to turn up, and it's just breaking out to a new 52-week high. And we just saw another marine transportation stock near the top, so looks very good. And when they all start to break out, that's nice. Boise Cascade, I think this is forestry, and this one, building materials, industrial building materials. And so we're at new 52-week highs, really like that. Equipment services, new 52-week highs, lots of these charts breaking out. Now I want to go show a different side of the charts, and I want to go just pick out of the middle here. And there's a reason for me to pick the middle. In this case, I've got scooter rankings of around 71. And a lot of times what you'll find on these scooter rankings is when they're just turning from average, so between 25 and 75, up above 75, starting to break out to new high ground, this is a nice place to look. And so we got a stock here at $72, and it's just trying to push higher here. It wouldn't take much to get to new 52-week highs. And as it does that, this stock had a 3-year uptrend, has been stalled for 1 year, and is now breaking that downtrend. So if we just click on this chart. Oh, Emerson Electric, nice big company. Bought some of their products the other day. I've got an InSinkErator hot water tap in my kitchen. That's made by Emerson. They make lots of good stuff. Anyway, the chart is trying to break out here. So we've broken the downtrend line that started roughly a year ago. And it's just putting in new 52-week highs this week. So that's very bullish. Scooter ranking starting to turn up. So as we look through the different types of stocks that are here, as all of these stocks start to break out, this scooter ranking is not just comparing them to their industrial group, it's also comparing them to the broader market. So in the large cap space, this is being compared against all the other stocks, and its current price action is better than about 70% of the stocks, the way we calculate it. We can also see this downtrend here in the PPO, and I particularly like this. This looks like it's just starting to get going. You can see on the other side here, had a nice big uptrend. This one would have been a little harder for me because I probably would have got out on this uptrend after it it tried to bounce here. But in general, well, and it went sideways for 6 or 8 months, so it wouldn't have been that bad a call. But I like it when it's changing its long-term momentum while it's changing its price action, or just before it's changing its price action. We should see these long trends in momentum break. And when we get that sort of break, that can help us buy near the lows. In this case, it doesn't feel that low because we're very close to new 52-week highs. But as this stock starts to head up, I mean, Emerson's got a vast selection of things they produce. So this is not just a little company. But again, try and go in and look around this 75 level. And I think there's lots of excellent charts that you'll also find there. Well, let's just click on this one. Anyway, as we work through, I want to take these stocks and just, instead of watching The Bachelorette, I might take my laptop and listen to The Bachelorette while I watch with my wife, and start to check out some of these charts. And I just, draw some trend lines, just see what's interesting. But as we go through, guess what? Here's the next stock that's coming up in our list is Genco Shipping and Trading, and it's trying to break out as well. So another shipping and trading company. And as you go through, we'll see all of these different sorts of companies start to perform. Here's Brinks, money transportation. That's always a good thing. And here's Watts Water Technologies. This one is a bit defensive, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it's been rallying up, and now it's pulled back a little. I'd like to know more about the company because it's been on the leaderboard list for a while. So even while the market was defensive, it was on the leader. So I want to make sure that this rollover isn't kind of getting me in just at the wrong time. So I would be inclined to go check that out. But we've sorted on the scooter ranking, and we're going to go back and look at some different ways to sort. But here's a really nice stock, Cornerstone Building Brands. This thing's with $23. It's now under $7. Nothing saying it can't go back to 14. That's even halfway. That's a double. Heiko Corp, that's just a beautiful chart. Pro Industries, this is trying to break out of this big consolidation area here, and it was uptrending nicely for 2 years before we ended up getting in to the trade disagreement with China, or the trade negotiations with China. So, drawing a line across here, it wouldn't take much to start breaking through that, and that would be a pretty bullish signal. Caesarstone, same thing here. We got nice basing price action. Anything above $20, I think, or even $18 gets you a new 52-week high. So starting to move up and out. Brightview Holdings, no idea what they do, but I like this IPO. Pulled back, ran up, now is flagging a little bit, and the full stochastic starting to turn up. If the PPO is to bounce right here above 0, that's very bullish. I like that sort of setup. So that talks about the stocks that are at the top of the list, talks about the stocks that are just starting to turn up right around that 75 level. I want to now go look at the stocks that are down in the 25 level, and there's a specific reason for that. And again, is all we want to know is, are there really good stocks that have been beaten down and might start turning up? So magically, I just kind of click on it. But guess what? Here's a name that competes with Boeing. I guess I should hit the annotation button first. Here's a name that competes with Boeing. You got a big horizontal, or a downsloping trend line, and the stock is trying to bounce here. So you got a bit of a downtrend in momentum. Wouldn't take much though to kind of get us going, and I'd like to see, if this can start to turn up here, perhaps that gives us a sign that maybe people will diversify their fleet away from Boeing a little bit, and then you'll end up in an Embraer or something like that. So with these names, I think one of the important things is, you don't need to buy this lower candle here. You want to wait until at least it's starting to turn up. But we could go back and we could scan for stocks that had a scooter ranking 2 weeks ago less than 10 and now have a scooter ranking above 25 or something like that, to try and find some things that are turning, and those are always choices. The second way to do this, though, is we've used price action here, but we could also break it out into large cap, small cap, mid cap. We could also break it into by industry group and then go in and look and see which industry within industrials is actually performing the best. And so in order to do that, we're going to change the sort order. But I want to make sure everybody understands that there are multiple ways to address this market. So one way is to just buy the high flyers. One way is to buy the stocks that were average starting to become high flyers. Others are trying to buy a stock that's oversold and starts to turn back up. And as it turns back up, that can be a nice one. So here's one, Covanta Holdings. You know, it hit a new 52-week high right in here, immediately rolled over, came up, made a lower high, and now it's all of a sudden broken down. A lot of people have trouble with that breakout technology or that breakout buying. And one of the things that I would but I get compliments from the readers of my work is that I also help try to show them ways to buy stocks that have based down near their lows and are starting to improve. And again, it doesn't always work. You still need stops, but the idea is if you can start to get some of these companies to work, that's very helpful. So here's Lufthansa. This airline is clearly down and out, nothing really worth talking about, right? Well, one of the things I particularly like on this chart, whoops, once again, the annotation button. One of the things I like on this chart is I like it when they start to break this big downtrend in momentum. This is 2 years long. If this is going to start to improve, that's a pretty nice place to step on the gas. For me, it would also be helpful if it was breaking this trend line and we got a little bit more work to do. So what's the difference? So this is the internal price action of the stock. This purple area compares it to the S&P 500, and I want to see it finally break the downtrend compared to the S&P 500. And you can see that the scooter ranking here is ranked, 19. Well, when it's out of favor like this, I like to catch them, as they come out of favor, jump up, maybe pull back and take off again. You can see this was a nice place to get on board, moved above the 40-week, stayed there for a couple of weeks, months, and then went on a beautiful rip, which was a 200% move. Now, not all of them are going to be that sweet, but you get the idea. What we're trying to do is find some method of catching these big moves. And in this particular case, you had at least, I always like it when the trend is more than 6 months, but you had a nice downtrend for 6 months that started to break. Contrary, you also had an uptrend in here that had gone on for more than a year, and it was a pretty good clue that things were breaking, and that would have got you out, about here, and you wouldn't have had to live all the way down from 15 to 10, which is a 30% reduction. Now, you see this trending up again here, and as this trends up, even if you get out here, it's fine. Give somebody else this part of the move, because this one would have been hard for me to catch just on the way I trade. But I do like the fact that you've got all of these trends, and when it switches, it can be a meaningful move. And again, if we were going to start to see airports do better or airlines do better, that would be helpful. Okay, so let's go back and just quickly, I'm going to scroll to the bottom here. Actually, I'm just going to jump up to the top, and I'm going to change it from 10 per page into summary mode. And we're just going to pick some other sort order. And we can go get the columns here, and we can pick the universe, and we can pick by small cap, mid cap, large cap. There's a lot of stocks that don't have a scooter rank or a scooter, so they're unlisted. But what we want to see here is we want to have large cap and then the highest scooter first. And when we get that, we can sort on that. Another way to do this is to go in and look actually within the industry group within the sector. Now, again, all of these are within the industrial sector. So, so when we sort like this, what you can see here is it's telling us what group it is. So we immediately know if we're dealing with a small cap or a micro cap. And then you've got your scooter ranking, and it's declining. You can see it's starting with the highest scooter ranking within its universe. So here's within large, goes down, 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 goes from 11 to 95. And that's because now we're looking at the mids and goes all the way down, and then goes all the way down. But all of this within aerospace. So we're within aerospace, then we're within the universe, and then we're the scooter ranking within that group. As we continue to sort for this, now let's just say that we wanted to keep that sort order. So what we would do is we would scroll down to the we would hit edit list, and then we would scroll all the way to the bottom. And when we get down here, we're going to select all, and we're going to remove the numbers from that. And by removing the numbers, and again, this is in a chart list, we can work with it, we can do whatever we want. We're not hurting anything here. And now we want to go back to summary mode. And again, we were scooter ranking, universe, and then the industry. And by doing that, it's going to help set this up for us. Now we scroll all the way to the bottom of the page and just hit number in sorted order. And of course, by making this happen, now we can go through and say, okay, airlines, most of them are crap. We don't have a whole bunch that are in the top, and it's always a mixed basket. Here's building materials, and it's got 93. What I want to know is how many are really outperforming. And so there's 3 in the large cap. 4, actually, 68% is not too far off the 70s, but you've got 2 kind of middling, right, between 25 and 75. That means they're just kind of average. And then you'd have the lower group, which is below 25%, and they're kind of bringing up the rear. Under building materials in the mid cap, look at all of these. We get all the way, there's 6 or 8 of them that are in here. And then you got some down here, this Lennox International might be worth looking at. And the only reason I say that is because, its scooter rankings just improving from 25, starting to turn up here again. So, maybe it's breaking this downtrend. This has been a nice 5-year uptrend. Nothing wrong with the stock. I mean, it was $80 5 years ago. It's $240 now. So even after a pullback of $60 from 300, this stock looks like it wants to turn up. And the other big picture about this, look how the momentum never goes below 0. So on this particular pullback is your first trip below 0. I want to watch it take off again, and then I want to make sure that if that's going to be its final high, that I'm also ready to get back out of the stock. And the reason I say that is once the institutional support doesn't keep it above the 0 level, then I need to worry a little bit more. Because the next high, it can be a signal that your next high is your final high. It doesn't have to be, but it's a good thing to be aware of. So once the institutional support is not kind of kicking in anymore, it's a good place to be careful. So again, the whole idea of this is to figure out different ways to analyze it and look at all of these different ones in building materials. And of course, there's so many small caps, but look at how many have a scooter ranking up in the 90s. This is outstanding, and the whole group is rocking and rolling, and there's very few at the bottom end of it. So that looks like a really strong area to jump into. So again, as you go through here, you get the chance to just kind of look based on your market cap size that you like to deal with. If you like the speed of small caps, then you can jump in on the small caps. If you like I'll call it the large caps with lots of liquidity, and you can have a larger position size and all that kind of benefit. All of this can be found just by that simple sort we did. So again, let's go back and look at what that sort was. In this case, we added the group to the industrial sector, closed greater than $5. We looked at it just on the scooter ranking, and now we've looked at it within the industry groups, within the market cap size, and within the scooter ranking, again, helping us define it much better. So when we go through this market process, again, what we're trying to find is stocks that are ready to turn. And hopefully I've given you some ideas today of ways to look at this market and just go in and say, okay, we're in a big uptrend. We want to be in an uptrend. I want to go pick some stocks from this sector, some stocks from the financials, some stocks from the technology, and try to get a run going. And where's the strength? And hopefully what I've shown you today helps you do that. So thanks for taking the time to join me. Have a great week in trading. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.